Well, I somehow got into the space program. I was, I didn't expect to get in. Like, my background is I'm a helicopter pilot and a test pilot, and I'm operational. Of course, I studied engineering. I never thought that was my forte. But the whole idea of being a tester and understanding how to ask questions as we're developing new spacecraft, I think went hand in hand with particularly the latest flight that we had. So when I first became an astronaut, I was surprised. I think the biggest emotion would have been like, "Oh wow, they maybe it was a clerical error and they let me in." But when I got there, I felt like it was the right place, a good fit for me, and just tried to do my best while I was there, and was provided some amazing opportunities to work on the space station as we were building it, and then operate it, and then test a new spacecraft. So I mean, it all sort of went. It started out as a surprise, but then it sort of made it. You make the dream happen.
What was the most challenging part of your journey?
What's the most challenging? Well, just in the training part aspect of it, spacewalks are pretty tough. Just training for that in a pool with gravity, and the suit does weigh something, even though in space you don't really feel it. That's hard work. You got to work out to do that. Those suits don't fit everybody exactly, correctly. So you just got to work with it and make it happen. So that's probably the most physical part. I think the mental part, though, is actually, a lot of people go, "Oh, you've been in space for so long," but I have worked in this job for 27 years, and flew in space 3 times. So there's a lot of time that you're not flying in space. Not that that's hard, but you just don't know what the next, if you're ever going to get the opportunity to do it, if you're ever going to for the first time, or get the opportunity to go to space a second or third time. So I think those times between could get somewhat frustrating at time, and but it's a ride for your whole family with you. So it's not just about you; it's about your family also, wondering if you're ever going to go to space. This last flight, honestly, I worked on these programs, commercial crew, for 10 years. So that's a long time. So on one project.
Yeah, behind.
Hi, Sunita. My name is Varun Sharma. I'm a freelance non-binary queer writer. I was just wondering, given this huge representation of non-binary and trans identities in space programs, was I clear? Should I repeat?
Say it one more time, please.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Hi, my name is Saurabh Sharma. I'm a freelance journalist. I'm a non-binary queer writer. I was just wondering, given the skewed representation of non-binary and trans identities in STEM programs, and also later when it comes to high tech and science and space programs, I was just wondering, how do you think and imagine what can be done in that space so that there's more inclusivity of representation of non-binary and queer people in space programs? And also, if you feel, because we have discussed about the mental and physical challenges, how different do you imagine that to be for people who tend to only see binary genders whenever they happen to imagine being in space? So yeah.
Oh, that's a question I've never thought about, to be honest with you. Because I feel like, like the jobs I've had, for example, have historically been jobs for males, right? So in my small estimation, I just sort of forget about it, right? Just put the blinders on and just do the best job that you can. And I think that's the way that you open up doors for any group, if you would consider some groups unrepresented or minorities. I think the best way to do it is just get out there and prove that you can do the job, right? Then nobody really has any debate one way or the other. We have obviously a range of sizes of people in the spacesuit, like we talked about. So we're trying to make sizes accommodate as many people as possible, but it's expensive. It's an expensive business. You can't blame the agency for not being able to include everybody insofar as size, just because it's hard. It's really hard. And so we do have some criteria for how tall you can be, and probably how short you can be as well. And I think that's going to have to be the way it is, right? So unfortunately, there's inclusivity, but maybe not 100% inclusivity insofar as size. But I think, like, for the groups you mentioned, I don't see any roadblocks. If people are the best for the job, they're the best for the job.
Would you like to use the mic for next time?
Sure.
Yeah. Is everyone audible behind? Is it audible for everyone behind as well? Should she use the mic? All good. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Pranavi Sharma from India Abroad. I wanted to ask you about your last mission. If you look back at it, one that stretched beyond our expectations. How did you cope with that amount of uncertainty? Is it the abundance of hope? Is it your faith? What is it that keeps you going?
Yeah, so I mean, really, the hardest part was the summer part when we didn't know if we were going to go back on our spacecraft or not. I mean, obviously, indications from the day 2 of docking led us to believe there was going to be some work that needed to be done, but maybe that could be done with software. I don't know. We didn't know at the time, so we were trying to be patient, trying to listen to everybody, and as much as we could. It's hard when I think everybody knows from COVID, it's hard to zoom in and have the whole picture of the conversation. So we're in space, we're trying to participate as much as we can, as well as being productive members on the space station. So I'm one of those people that wants to occupy my time. So we were extra crewmates up there. We're eating a lot of food. We're using the bathroom quite a bit, all of us, right? So obviously the food needs to be stocked, the bathroom needs to be changed, while all the other experiments and other things are going on. So, raise your hand. These maybe are not the most glorious jobs up in space, but you need to pitch in and be part of the team. So that's, I think, for me, in the beginning, as well as the test points that we did, try to help the team. Make sure that when they get done with the experiments that they're assigned to, they can come back and have a hot meal and we've fixed it for them or done whatever we need to do to make it a team event. And then as the summer roll, continued on and it was becoming a little more clear that we probably weren't going home, then it's time to focus on being crew members up there. And it's a team sport. I have to always remember that and remind people that 2 people were supposed to be on that spacecraft that came and brought us home, and they graciously stepped aside, and only 2 seats went up, 2 empty. So there was 2 empty seats for me and Butch Wilmore to come back on, and that's a huge event for somebody who was training for a number of years to say, like, okay, now I'm not going to fly. So keeping that in mind, I wanted to do as best as I can to fill their shoes in the experiments that they had to do. So we started asking the folks who were working on the experiments, can I do OJT, on the job training, hang out with you? Can I get you something while you're doing the tasks, knowing that we would be the ones who were doing the task later on once they left. So just trying to fulfill the shoes of the people who were going to make it and try to occupy the time and do the best that we can. And that's what our job is. I was just last question or 2 questions ago saying, the part that everyone doesn't understand is how much time on the ground. I got extra time in space. I'm pretty lucky.
But when it got really stretched, were you really confident about the technology that will take you home?
Yes. That lies on the shoulders of the people who are working on the ground. I knew that there was hundreds, if not thousands, of people who were looking at possibility solutions for us to come back, right? So they weren't going to leave us high and dry with no solution whatsoever. I think the most precarious time was when our spacecraft left, because we needed to free up the docking port, and the spacecraft that was taking us home arrived. There was a time in there where the way home would have been on some seats that we on board made out of things that we had on board. They weren't actual real seats. So that was the most precarious time. But that was a plan. We had a plan. It's never like that we didn't have a plan. And as a result of all of that, some really good work has been done. And now we have a seat kit that's up there. So if anything like this happens again, which it can, space station is getting older. Space, it's complicated to get to space. There's a lot of space debris. There's many things that could happen to a spacecraft when it's docked to the space station. So we're trying to now anticipate those problems a little bit more and have the resources that we need up there ready to go.
So how has space changed the way you look at life on Earth?
How has space changed how I look on this? Oh, absolutely. I'm sure everybody has read words of or heard me talk about this. I've talked about this here in India, in the United States, of course, and in Slovenia just recently, but for many years, absolutely. I mean, you look at Earth and you think to yourself, like, what is everybody rushing around down there for? Why is everybody mad? Why is everybody in a line? Like, why is everybody fighting? It's actually just sort of weird, right? Because this is a planet. This is our planet, which I think we all lose sight of. It's not just a city. It's not just a country. It's actually a planet. We actually have the same air. All of us do. We all have the same water. We all have the same rain. All over this planet. And so it's sort of funny how we sometimes argue about a lot of things, fight over resources when this is all of ours, this planet. So, of course, it changes perspective on that. Not that I'm disappointed, I just feel very lucky that I've had that perspective, and that's one of the reasons I'm here talking to you and everybody here, to share those perspectives and maybe make people stop for a second and think about it a little bit more thoroughly. And the second part is, exploration, I think, is what we need to do to make us solve problems, because we have to solve problems differently when we go to space, and that helps us explore. You have to, and back in the day, this place was found by a sailing ship
Yep.
at some point in time, and to be able to leave someone's home country and then sail over here or leave our home planet and go to space, you have to solve problems differently than you do at home, and that makes the solutions even better, and possibly even come back here, but absolutely help us on our next steps of exploration.
If called upon, would you go there again?
Would I go again? I'd love to go to space again, absolutely. And I'm sure my husband wouldn't want me to go to space again. I have some things to do at home. But there's also, so many good astronauts, and I think the biggest reward is your mentees can take over and do the job better than you. And I feel like right now there's a bunch of young kid astronauts out there who we've trained and are doing wonderful right now at the space station, doing wonderful as we're getting ready to launch the Space Launch System Artemis 2 rocket. Some new astronauts on there, and I'm excited to see them make history. So I'm good with, if they said, though, you need to come back, we need you, yeah, of course I'd go.
Hi, ma'am.
Where are you?
Hi, I'm Anisa. I'm with the Ping. So I just wanted to ask you this sector. A lot of private players are entering the sector. So I just wanted to ask you, who do you think space belongs to, and also all this rapid exploration, where is it leading us?
Yeah, so I'm really excited about commercialization of low Earth orbit. I think it's really awesome. It's great. I feel like the space station laid the foundation of processes, how they could how they work in low Earth orbit in microgravity. And I think there's so many creative minds out there. Like the space sector is wonderful. Space business is awesome. But there's more creative people who can come up with some amazing creative ideas. Oh, I saw that process, so I could blend it into doing, something else. I mean, we did stuff where we were 3D printing heart cells, 3D printing metal up there, but only little basic chunks of it. Now that we've proved that you can do that, some other, I think, research entity, company can even make that even better and probably bring back some production to us back here on Earth. Space station wasn't going to do production. It was just going to try out processes and foundations. So I'm really excited about that. I hope that happens. And that frees up, the space agencies to do what we are supposed to do, is explore, right? So I think we're taking the next steps on exploration on the backs of the commercial companies that will take low Earth orbit.
Ma'am, you were the first person to run a marathon in space, and you also did a triathlon. And for the swimming part, you had some really innovative ideas. So, first of all, how did you come up with it? And my second part of the question is, do you still maintain a rigorous workout schedule?
I try to. It doesn't always work out. I've had a little jet lag for the last couple of weeks, but I'm trying. But yeah, the marathon and triathlon is silly as they are up in space, because we just have exercise equipment and we just go do it, right? Actually, really was hoping the treadmill would break so I didn't have to finish the whole thing, because marathons are terrible. Anybody run the Mumbai Marathon? I think it was last weekend. But anyway, my point with all of those things, though, was to highlight that astronauts exercise, and exercise is a way of life. And exercise you have to do every single day while you're up there. For us, it's bone density and muscle mass, because we don't have gravity to provide that. But in general, just to propagate that idea, health we shouldn't take for granted. Being healthy was probably the thing that allowed me to become an astronaut. Probably opened doors for me to do a lot of things, because I had a pretty good schedule as a swimmer when I was a kid, and a runner throughout my whole life. Every morning getting up and do that. My brother, my sister, we all do that. And it just was natural in our family. And I felt very fortunate that I grew up like that. Not everybody grows up like that. So it was really just to highlight the fact that physical fitness is a way of life, and will make your life a lot easier in the future.
And what do you
I run still. I'm just getting back up to getting some distance under my belt. I had, only some shorter runs because the space station, we have the treadmill, and you don't want to get on there forever. Unlike in the previous time, we have more people, so you have to give other people chances on the treadmill, so you can't run all day long. So only shorter things, and it was just an adjustment for me to get back and start moving my legs fast and for a long period of time. So I've done a lot of CrossFit too, just sort of some weight training, particularly as I've gotten older. I think that's really good for bone density, particularly for women. So some type of body weight training, or with light weights in an aerobic type of manner for CrossFit has been sort of my go-to in the last year or so.
This is the last question. After this, we are.
Hello, Sunita. This is Chintan. Thank you for your service. What was it like for you to be away from your dogs, Corby and Gunner, when you were in space? It would be great if you could talk about the place they have in your life. Also, if you could weigh in on the Indian Supreme Court's directives to remove community dogs from public spaces and institutions, thinking of them as dangerous to human safety.
Yeah, okay, thank you for the question, because my dogs are huge in my life. Unfortunately, I lost my Gorby in 2017. He was almost 17 years old. So, when something is in your life that long, they're part of your family, of course, right? So my other two dogs, Gunner and Rotor, are my little buddies, and they're mine. And so when I left for space, I told my husband, it's only 10 days. Don't worry, I'll be back. I'll walk them when I get back. They're my responsibility. I realize that. Well, that didn't work out like that. And so he got to enjoy them. And it's actually been wonderful. Not that he wasn't part of their lives in the beginning, but he has really bonded with both of them. And I can see it, and it's great. And just like I have to. They're just really cool. Anybody have a dog in here as a pet? It's just fun to watch them, or cat for that matter. It's just fun to watch them because they all have personalities. They all are troubleshooting. They're all figuring it out. They're all trying to be nice to you when they want something. They're a little manipulative, just like children. And so it's wonderful. But they love you. Every time you come home, they're right there to greet you. They're there to be nice and sit next to you when you don't feel good. So yeah, of course I miss them. And I was very lucky. I got a couple packages while I was up there when some cargo spacecraft came up. So one of them had all sorts of Indian food because I hadn't had any of my own preference food. So they filled it up with Indian food, which was great. And the second package had 3D printed of my dogs. Somebody 3D printed them from me and painted them. So I opened it up and they're floating around. It was really cool. So I had nice pictures and just a reminder of them. I didn't get to really talk to them, obviously. We have phone calls and video conferences. But I got the report. Friends of mine were telling me what they were doing, and they would go over another friend's house every now and then, and things like that. I don't know anything about the second part too much. I just read a little snippet in the newspaper yesterday, and I was asking the question about it. And there's a priority, obviously, right? Humans, we have to take care of ourselves and make sure everybody has a good, safe place to live. So I can understand when things become a little problematic. I would say that's partially, from my own experience, partially our own fault as humans as well, because we create an environment where animals can't be in their natural environment. That happens in the United States when people feed animals in natural preserves like bears and other things like that. That helps them become problematic. So we need to give animals their space, and they need their appropriate space so they don't interact and harm humans. I think that's a way to think of it just generally. They're here. I think just to point that out, when I was in space, the thing when I would look back at the planet, I would say every person I know, every animal I know, every plant I know is there. And that's the only place it is. So we need to give all of us a little space. Physical space.